Feel free to hold an intention if there's anything in particular for you today that's really potent, resonant. And when you feel ready, let your eyes open. Namaste. Thanks for coming, everybody. All right. Come on up to the top of your mat and we'll find mountain pose. Take your time to get there. Okay, so feel your feet strongly pressing down into the floor. Let's inhale, take the arms up and overhead. Just exhale and bring your arms back down to your sides. Good, inhale, take your arms back up and overhead. Exhale, release and bring the arms back down to the sides. And third time, inhale, arms up and overhead. Bring your hands together in a clasp and turn your palms up toward the ceiling. Take another breath. And as you exhale, push your palms over to the right. Inhale to center. Push your palms to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale, bring your hands into a clasp behind you. Lift the shoulder heads and roll the shoulder heads back. Lift the hands gently up behind you. Maintaining your mountain pose stance. Keeping the head in a comfortable lifted chin position, centered over the neck. And you're breathing. And then release, take your arms out in front of you into a clasp again. Push your palms forward as you look down toward the floor. Now hug your feet towards your midline. Push the palms over to the right again, only with the chin tucked. Keep your hips facing forward so that the trunk is turning. And then bringing your arms to center, come on over to the left. Push a little bit more through the heel of the right palm. Tucking the chin, see how the neck feels. See how deeply this stretch moves down through the whole right side. Come back to center. Push the palms back up toward the ceiling. And then exhale, separate the arms. Let's take your first forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale and fold in. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, lengthen halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward, Ardha Uttanasana. And again, exhale, fold in. Slide the hands back alongside of the feet. Let's step right back into a high lunge with the right foot. So step the right foot back, keeping the hands in line with the front ankle, just finding the shape of the pose. And then step your back foot forward. Step your left foot back, high lunge. Just feeling into that. And then step your left foot forward, step back again with the right foot. And step the right foot forward again, step back with the left foot. Letting your body kind of adjust, right? So as you go through 3 rounds of things feel different. Step the left foot forward. Last time, step the right foot back, high lunge. What do you notice the 3rd time around? Is it different? Maybe not. Step the right foot forward, step the left foot back. Last time on this side. Again, just notice what you notice. How's your body saying, okay, yep, we just did this. Now let's pay attention to this. And now we'll step back to a downward dog. So go ahead and place the hands, feet step back. Push the hands down and forward. Feel free to pedal through your heels a bit, as we do, just to wake the body up on a Sunday morning. As I have no doubt we all were out partying until the wee hours. right, now let's shift forward into plank pose, lower down to your belly. Take a little cobra. Got a nice little pop there. And then lower down, curl your toes under, come on back up to down dog. And 2 more of those. Shifting forward into your plank. Lower to the floor. Take your cobra pose. And then lower down, step back to downward facing dog. And 1 more little round of vinyasa here, shifting forward into your plank. Lower to your belly. Come on up into your cobra pose. Lower down, curl your toes under, downward facing dog. All right, and from this downward facing dog, lift your left leg up behind you, bend the knee, open the hip. On your exhale, bring your left foot forward and through into your high lunge. Come right up to crescent lunge. Bring the hands to the floor. Step to plank pose. Take a vinyasa. Back to downward facing dog. Take another breath or 2 in your down dog before we do the same thing on the other side. Lifting the right leg up behind you. On your exhale, bring it forward and through. High lunge with the legs. Come on up to crescent lunge. Hands to the floor. Plank pose. Take your vinyasa. Downward facing dog. And yes, we're doing 3 of these. Lift the left leg. Exhale, bring it forward and through, high lunge. Make it a crescent lunge. Push the front foot forward, the back foot back. Do what you can to straighten the back leg. Hands to the floor, plank pose. Take your vinyasa. Downward facing dog. Just feel the heat starting to kind of wake up in the body, the breath starting to get a little more prominent. All right, let's lift the right leg up. Exhaling, bring the right foot forward. High lunge legs, crescent lunge pose. Just be here a little bit longer than we were the first time. Hands to the floor. Plank pose. Take your vinyasa. All right, that's twice through. Last time on each side. Lift the left leg. Exhale, bring the foot forward. High lunge legs. Crescent lunge pose. Maybe for this third one, you add a little more back bend. And release. Hands to the floor. Plank pose. Vinyasa. Downward facing dog. Take a breath or 2. All right, and let's lift the left leg. On your exhale, bring it forward and through. High lunge legs. Crescent lunge pose. Be in the pose long enough to just feel a little difference in the legs, whatever you're doing to work with them. Maybe there's a little more back bend for you. As always, whenever you're working with back bends, utilize your abdominal bracing. And release, hands to the floor. Plank pose. Take your vinyasa. And downward facing dog. At the end of your exhale, we're going to hop or step and come to forward fold. So bend the knees, give it a little hop or step. Bow toward the legs. Inhale, lengthen halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold in. Last one, inhale, halfway forward. Push back through the inner thighs. Get long in the sides of the body, pull your belly in and up, and then keep that and bow forward. Try not to let your hips drift backward as you bring your chest forward toward the legs. Perhaps a little deeper, or maybe not. Again, you call whether or not you want to keep your knees bent. Now bend the knees. Utkatasana, arms up and overhead. Pull the abdomen in and up, get more vertical in your spine. Come on up to standing. Take a big, wide arm stance and fold forward, Uttanasana again. Bend your knees. Slide the hands up your shins to your knees, come to your steer. Utkatasana, arms up alongside of the ears. This time move the hips back a little further, so there's more weight in the heels. Pull the belly in and up. Again, try to get more vertical in the torso, but with the legs maybe a little more deeply bent than they were the first time. And come on up to standing. Take the arms out wide. Exhale, forward fold, last time. Slide the hands up the shins to the knees. Utkatasana, chair pose. And all the way up to standing. Bring the palms together, slide your hands to heart center. So just be in the pulsation of your breath. Completely present with yourself. Completely accepting yourself right where you are. All right, and release the arms down. Great. We're gonna step right to downward facing dog again. So go ahead and come on down. Now again, we're gonna lift right leg up, bend the knee, open up through the hip a little bit. Push down quite a bit with the right hand to pull the right hip crease back. And on your exhale, bring your left foot forward and through. This time we'll set up for side angle stretch. So spin the right heel to the floor. Go ahead and come up, left elbow on the thigh, Parsva Konasana. And spin the hands to the floor, pick up the back heel. Come on up again to crescent lunge. Lean forward, hands to prayer, and then prayer twist. Hook the left elbow outside, right elbow outside of the left leg. Twist the other direction. And release, hands to the floor. Step to plank pose. Take a vinyasa. Take a breath or two in your downward dog before we do the same thing on the other side. And then we'll lift the right leg. Bend the knee, open up through the hip, and especially press down and forward through that left hand. Pull back in that outer left hip crease. And on your exhale, swing that right foot forward, coming into your high lunge. Spin your back heel to the floor for side angle stretch. Finding the pose. Make sure the back knee feels comfortable, right? So just changing the angle of the back foot can find the right place for you if it feels a little tweaky. Good. Spin the hands to the floor inside the front foot, picking up the back heel, crescent lunge. And then tip forward, hands to prayer. Prayer twist, taking the left elbow outside of the right leg. Do your best to keep your back leg lifted as you twist. Release the hands to the floor, plank pose. Take a vinyasa. Again, you can skip the vinyasas if you're starting to get tired. You're better off skipping them and resting than letting your body kind of get misaligned because maybe your shoulders are tired or your arms are tired, right? So just choose what feels best to you. All right, same thing again. I'll turn myself around, lift the left leg, bend the knee, open the hip. Exhale, swing the left foot forward and through, high lunge. Spin the back heel to the floor, side angle stretch. This time, maybe you take it a little deeper. Maybe the left hand goes to the floor. Oh, yeah. Big reach through those right fingertips. Use the pressure of the arm against the inner leg. Wrap the left glutes underneath you. Good. Spin the hands to the floor. Pick up the back heel. Come on up to crescent lunge again. Tip forward. Bring your hands to prayer. We're going to prayer twist to the left, but maybe that right arm works its way deeply up toward the left hip. And then you bring the hand to the floor and take your left arm up. You can still have the hands in prayer if that's your preference. And you can even do this with the knee, back knee down. And release, look down, hands to the floor. Plank pose, take a vinyasa. And back to your down dog. Settle into your breathing a little bit. All right, let's lift the right leg. On your exhale, bring it forward and through. High lunge legs, and then spin your back heel down, side angle stretch. Now, what did you do on the first side? Do you want to go a little deeper? Maybe the right hand comes to the floor. You reach a little more fully through those left fingertips. Arm and leg press against one another. Pull your right glutes underneath you and pull your abdomen in and up. How long can you get this left side body? Nice work, ladies. Go ahead and bring your hands to the floor. Pick up the back heel. Crescent lunge for just a moment. And then tipping forward. Again, hands can be in prayer. You can come right to prayer twist. Right elbow out or left elbow outside the right leg, or scoot the back of your left arm a little further past the leg. Bring the hand down. Take the right arm up. Finding your deep twist here. Breathing. And look down. Bring the hands down. Step to plank pose. Take a vinyasa. Downward facing dog. Shake your head out a little bit. All right. One more time through. Lift the left leg. Exhale, bring it forward and through. High lunge. Spinning the back heel down, back to a side angle stretch. Top arm up. Now maybe for this one, the right arm comes back behind. You can slide the right hand into the top of the left thigh. Roll the right shoulder back. Pull the sides of your neck back. You can stay here, or you could combine it and take the bottom hand to the floor like you did last time. So it's kind of a little half bind situation. Strong belly. Wrap those left glutes underneath you. All right, now unravel the top arm. Bring your elbow back up onto the thigh. And then we'll spin the back heel up, come back to crescent lunge. Tip forward, and we're going to twist again to the left. Let's go ahead and set the back knee down for this one now. And just set up in a regular kind of prayer twist. So taking the right elbow outside the left leg, hands to prayer, back knee is down. Maybe you bend a little more into the front leg. And with the back knee down this time, maybe you reach back now with your left hand, take a hold of your right foot and bring it in. It's an option. And release. Hands to the floor, plank pose. Take a vinyasa or skip it. You can always rest in child's pose. Find your way to your down dog. Take a breath or two before we do the final sequence on this right side. Okay. Lift your right leg. On your exhale, bring it forward and through, high lunge. Spin the back heel down, side angle stretch over the right leg. So finding the outer form of the pose. And then let's go ahead and take this left arm back behind. Maybe the left hand finds its way into the top of the thigh. And again, pull the sides of the neck back. Find the sense of opening up through the chest, pulling the left shoulder head back, and then maybe the right hand comes down here. You only turn the head to where it feels like you can. A lot of that has to do with whatever's going on in your shoulders. All right, now go ahead and unravel that left arm, take it up. Bring your right arm back to your thigh. Then turning to look forward, pick up your back heel, come up to crescent lunge just for a moment. And then set your back knee down. And we'll twist last time to the right. So take the left elbow, hook it outside of your right leg. Hands to prayer, slide the hands down towards your hip. You could bend a little more deeply into the front thigh if you like. And if it works for you, maybe that right arm reaches back with the left foot. And release. All right, hands to the floor. Last vinyasa here. Lower down. Finding your down dog. All right, now let's take a rest in child's pose. Just set your knees wide. Let your big toes touch. Sit your hips back. Let your elbows rest on the floor. Arms are out in front in pranam. Just feeling the effects of your pose. Okay, walk your hands back in toward yourself. Bring your knees in a little closer so you can sit for just a moment in Virasana or Vajrasana if you want to have the feet together underneath you. If your feet are a little wider, your heels go just outside of your sitting bones. Just let your hands rest on your knees for a moment. And just sit tall with an upright spine. Close your eyes. We're going to sit for 1 minute in silence. Okay, now just take a nice full deep breath right where you are. Great. Tip forward, come to table pose. Let's come back up to down dog for a moment. And then just step your feet to your hands, finding a forward fold. We're not going to stay here too long. We're just finding our way to standing. And then hug the midline. Inhale, reach the arms out and up. Come on up, arms overhead. Bring the palms together. Slide your hands to heart center. All right, release the arms down. Great. So let's go ahead and take a wide stance on the mat. We're going to do some triangle pose and triangle pose variations here. So turn your right foot open, bring your left foot slightly forward. Square your hips a little more over that right leg, right? So you're never really trying to turn your pelvis forward toward me. You're always trying to turn it just a bit toward that right leg. And that's just makes everything in this front hip socket a little bit more amenable when you come forward. Otherwise, you might kind of crash, right, as you're trying to come forward. All right, arms up on inhale. Exhale, Trikonasana, come forward. Right hand down to the floor, the ankle, a block, wherever you like to have it. Top arm up toward vertical. Feeling into that right leg. Pulling the right thigh muscles up. Good, now we'll take this top arm alongside of the ear. Pull that left shoulder head back in its socket and the left shoulder blade down. So you really integrate the shoulder. Pull your feet toward one another. Now this is completely your call. Pull your belly in and up and maybe the bottom arm comes up. Bottom hand down. Look down at the floor, bend into your right leg and bring both hands down. Now pick up your back heel, you're back in a high lunge, straighten your front leg again. So straighten the right leg. Basically you're kind of in a long Parshvottanasana. Now step your back foot a little closer to your front foot by maybe a foot, foot and a half. Still having those back toes just slightly turned out. And then we are in a Parshvottanasana here. So bow toward that front leg. Bring your chest perhaps a little closer to the inner right thigh. Strong legs, pull your thigh muscles up. Push down into your big toe mound and just lift your toes off of the floor, but really press into the mat with the big toe mound. Then inhale and lift yourself up halfway, set the toes down. And we're going to come into a revolved triangle. So you can take your left hand and slide it maybe toward the arch of the foot, or if you want to really challenge yourself, take your left hand outside of the foot. See what works for you, and then twist yourself to look to the right. And maybe that right arm goes straight up. If you're unable to turn open very far, don't worry about taking the arm up because it'll thrust the shoulder forward and cause misalignment. You're better off just keeping the hand on the hip. Right, so choose what feels best for you as you find this variation of your triangle. And then bring the hands to the floor. Bend both knees a little bit, step your back foot forward, come to forward fold. Come up to standing, inhale, reach the arms out and up. Bringing the palms together and sliding your hands to heart center. All right, release the arms down. Let's take another wide stance. We'll set up for triangle pose to the left. So open that left foot, bring the right foot a little bit further forward. Square the hips towards your left leg. Inhale, take your arms up. Exhale, Trikonasana to the left. Just take a moment to feel into the forward fold aspect of it and then opening up. Top arm goes up. Good, so make those thigh muscles super, super strong on your front leg. Reaching way up through the top arm. Feel the sense of wingspan in your arms. We're going to see if you can really kind of get yourself a plumb line between your bottom wrist and your top wrist. And then the top arm's coming up alongside of the ear. Make sure you haven't kind of extended and gotten out of integrity here in this right shoulder. So integrate, pull the head of the right arm bone back and the right shoulder blade down a little bit so you feel really connected to that shoulder. Now pull your feet toward one another, pull your low belly in and up, and maybe the bottom arm comes up. You hold that imaginary beach ball, and if it's too much, you bring your hand down. Good, now bring the bottom hand down, bring the top hand down, bend into your front leg, pick up your back heel, and then straighten your left leg again. Pull back in that outer left hip crease. And just find yourself in a long Parsvottanasana. All right, now we'll bend a little bit more into that left leg to bring the right foot forward a bit. So bring it forward, foot and a half or so. Having that right foot slightly turned open with this left leg very straight as much as you can get it. So please feel free to have your hands up on blocks or something. Pulling back in the outer left hip crease, and then bowing, Parsvottanasana. Pull those thigh muscles up the leg. Push down into your left big toe mound. See if you can pick the toes up. Feel your calf muscles totally sing and engage as they pull forward toward the shin. Woo. All right, and then inhale, lengthen halfway. Set the toes down, and we'll start to find our way into revolved triangle. So taking the right hand, it can slide over to the arch, over the toes, outside the foot, wherever you want to take it, and then turn your body to look to the left as you take your left arm up. Hugging toward the midline helps with balance, and also making sure your feet are not on a tightrope. So you still want to have some lateral distance between your front and back foot. And you're breathing in your twist. All right, and then release. Hands to the floor. Bend into your left leg. Bring your right foot forward, coming back to forward fold. We'll come up to standing. Hug the midline with the feet. Inhale, take your arms up and over your head. Bring your palms together. Slide your hands to heart center. Okay, and release your arms. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of balancing work since we didn't do a half moon yet in this practice. Well, we're not going to do a half moon in this practice, but we are going to do some balancing work. So if you do feel like balance is a little on the tricky side, feel free to be a little closer to a wall if you like. So focus your gaze on something that's not moving. Shift the weight over to your left foot. And then draw your right knee in and up as high as you can take it without using your hands. Bringing the knee up, the outer hip crease roots down. Take your hands underneath your thigh now and straighten the right leg. Pushing the thigh down into the hands. And then bend the leg again. Cross your right ankle over your left knee and open that right knee out to the side a little bit. And then you're going to bring your hands to prayer position. Move your hips back and just sit back and just a little bit of hip opener here. Hands can be at heart center. Now it's up to you if you want to take this hip stretch a little deeper. You could bring your hands to the floor and let your foot and your knee rest against the back of your arms. Bending into that standing leg a little bit more, and that's going to get you a little deeper stretch in your hip. And again, this is all relative, so you choose if this is working for you or not. If it's not, you've come out of the pose already. All right, and then we'll try to find our way back up. Hands to prayer. And set the foot down with whatever control you have left. Okay, shake the legs out a little bit. All right, let's try the other side. So shifting the weight now onto the right foot. Feel your foundation and send your foot some gratitude for how many times it has helped you and helped you balance in precarious times and moments in your life, right? Okay, now focus your gaze on something that's not moving, and without using your hands, bring your left knee up as high as you can without throwing your hips out of alignment, right? So as long as you're lifting the knee, you're still dropping the outer left hip. And then take your hands into a clasp under the thigh and straighten the leg. Push the thigh down into the hands. Make sure you still have your mountain pose stance. Strong in the abdomen. All right, and then bend the leg. Take the left ankle over the right knee and externally rotate the left leg. Bring the hands to prayer. See if you can sit back a little bit. Just be right where you are. You don't have to go too deeply if it's just too much of a challenge. If you've been sitting back and you feel pretty balanced, maybe you can bring the hands down to the floor. It gives you more foundation. The balance isn't the issue, and then you could work more deeply in the hip stretch. So the elbow and the foot rest on the back of the upper arms. Maybe you can sit a little more deeply in your standing leg. Breathing. Ooh, that's a nice stretch for that left hip. All right, now we're going to try to find our way back up. Bring the hands to prayer, back up to standing, uncross, set the feet down. All right, nice work. Go ahead and release the arms. Okay, aren't you glad we're not doing that 3 times? All right, so we're going to find our way now into a pigeon prep. So let's go ahead and find your way right into a downward facing dog if this pose is in your repertoire. If it's not, clearly eye of the needle, maybe a better choice for you, or even sitting in deer pose is fine. So approaching this from downward dog, lift your right leg up behind you. Bring it forward, set it over near the right edge of the mat. There we go. So finding your pigeon prep. Good. Feel free to come forward. And just use the tools that you have. You know what you need to do. You know what feels best to your body. You know how to challenge yourself more or less, depending on what it is that you need today. All right, and then walk your hands back in toward yourself. Hug your front knee and your back knee toward one another. You can bring the weight onto the right hand inside of the right leg and then reach back for the left foot. So again, one of the most important aspects to doing this thigh stretch is the hugging of the knees toward one another to help you find balance and stability. And then as you push your left foot into your hand can bring the heel in closer to the hip, turning the chest more forward. And then you can take the top arm up if it's free enough to do that. And I'm just going to offer this because I see a lot of arms up. Maybe we can take this right arm back behind. Yeah, take both hands to the left ankle and now push the left leg back into the hands. Just a nice big opener for the chest. And go ahead and release. Nice work. Let's step back to down dog. Other side. Go ahead and lift the left leg, and on your exhale, bring the knee forward, coming into your pigeon prep. Finding your way wherever you want to be. Down on the forearms, with the head resting on a block perhaps. One of the reasons why coming to your yoga practice feels so good is because you spend this whole time, for the most part, not judging stuff. If you are judging yourself, hopefully you've got some awareness of that. But most of the time, it is a moving meditation. So you don't have time to sit and be in that space where you're kind of holding court, you know? Walk the hands forward, if you would like, to come into a deeper variation. All right, we'll find our way back in. So take your time, bring your hands in. Great, so taking the left hand to the inside of the knee, hug your front knee back and your back knee forward as you reach back for your right foot with your right hand. Push the foot into the hand as you bring the heel in closer to the hip. You could keep your left hand on the floor, you could have left hand on the thigh, or the left arm could go up. Yeah, very nice. If you would like, take this arm behind you. Can you take both hands around the front of that right ankle and then push your right foot away from your body to keep the chest lifted, straighten the arms, balance up there on your knees for a moment, flexing that back foot. All right, nice work. Go ahead and release. Bring the hands to the floor. Take a down dog. And then again, sit in a child's pose, just widen the knees and sit back. And for this one, whatever you feel comfortable with the arms is fine. Arms can wrap around the sides or be out in front. Okay, take your time to come on up to a seat. And in order to open up the shoulders, kind of in the way that we have this week, we're going to work with dolphin pose again. So bring the elbows down right underneath the shoulders. Now for some of you, if you know your shoulders are already pretty open, you can have your forearms parallel with the palms facing down. Settle down through your chest a little bit, curl your toes under, lift your knees up. And push your hands and forearms and elbows forward. Try not to let your elbows splay out. If your elbows did splay out, you set your knees down and bring your hands back into a prayer position. But just be here for a moment. Feel a little band right between the bottom tips of the shoulder blades as the shoulder blades are rotating on your back body right now. And then set your knees down on the floor. Okay, we're going to come down onto our bellies for Shalabhasana. Bring your hands into a clasp behind you. And then widen your feet just a little bit for this variation. And then we're going to shrug the shoulders up toward the ears, lift the chest, reach back through the hands. And then lifting the feet off of the floor, try not to let your feet turn open like dancer feet. Push more energy up through your big toe mounts. They're still going to externally rotate. Just try not to let them go to a maximum here, because you don't want to cut off any prana in the low back. All right, and then come down. Rest your chin on your hands for a moment. So we'll consider that back bend number 1. We're going to take 2 more back bends. Now I'm going to suggest, since we're already here on the bellies, that back bend number 2 is Dhanurasana. So go ahead and reach back, take a hold of the feet or the ankles, flex the feet, and with the thighs at parallel, lift the shoulder heads and push back. Feet into hands, lifting up through the chest. Thighs at parallel here. and release. Relax the legs, rest your chin on your hands again. Let your back muscles go. Okay, now we're going to roll over onto our backs, and you can choose which back bend you want to do from this perspective. So you can either set yourself up for a bridge pose if you prefer. If you are working comfortably in Urdhva Dhanurasana, we'll set up in for a full wheel pose. All right, so let's see what seems to be calling your name right now. If you are setting up for full wheel pose, make sure your hands are not right next to your ears because it doesn't give you a very stable foundation. All right, take your time to come down, whichever back bend you chose. Resist the temptation to pull your knees in right away. Just let your spine neutralize. Let the discs figure it out. And then if you would like to pull the knees in after you've given that a few seconds, go ahead and do that. Feel free to roll a little bit from side to side. All right, and now we're going to roll forward and back and see if we can come to balance on the sitting bones for kind of a half boat pose. All right, so here we go. Yeah, there we go. So bring the feet together. You can have your hands back behind your knees if you like. Do your best to keep your back nice and long. Pull the belly in and up. See if the legs will straighten for you without your back bowing out. Right? You're still drawing that sacrum in and up. Now, can you take your right arm out, your left arm out? Pull the belly up. Breathing. And set your feet lightly on the floor. Take a hold of your knees. Pull yourself in and up. All right, so now while we're in this position, we're going to do a little twist. So separate your feet so they're about at hip distance width. Take your right hand and reach for the outer edge of your left foot. Just walk your left hand back behind you a little bit, and then round into your back. Tuck your chin. Get a really nice stretch underneath the right shoulder and shoulder blade. Do your best to keep your pelvis pretty stable so that from side to side you're even. You're not allowing that right hip to move forward here. All right, now bring your spine more upright. So start by pulling in and up on the sacrum as you bring yourself up. See if you can twist maybe a little more deeply with that sense of pulling and lifting in the sacrum. Strong in the belly. And then release. Other side. So the left hand is going to take a hold of the outer edge of the right foot. Walk your right hand back and then round your back. Tuck your chin. Push the foot against the hand. Get a deep stretch under that left shoulder blade. Breathing. Now start to bring yourself more vertical by pulling in and up in the sacrum. Get taller. And then maybe you twist a little more deeply from this upright position. And come back to facing forward. Great, okay. So now we're gonna sit up on the edge of a blanket. Grab something to give yourself some height under your sitting bones. Just a few more poses here. All right. Now, making sure that your sitting bones are elevated, let's bring the soles of the feet together for Baddha Konasana. If there's anything about this that is causing you any pain or discomfort in your knees, opt out of the pose entirely. Push down through the pinky toe edges of the feet so much that the ankles actually lift. So you're really pressing big toe mounds and inner heels together. And then pull back on the ankles as you sit tall. And see if you can keep your spine tall and try to rotate the thighs toward the floor. Now you know your body best. If you tend to come forward and your back rounds right away, then you're going to stay in an upright spine. If you've been practicing a long while and you're very comfortable with this, then bring your spine forward. Bending forward like a reed, but it's very, very deeply entrenched, the spine, how it moves from the root, so that the pelvis isn't bowing back. It's coming forward with the rest of the spine. And you're breathing. Still have those ankles lifted. And then slowly find your way back up to a seat. Great, so keep the right leg bent. We're going to take the left leg out to the side for Janu Shirshasana, and then bring the sole of the left foot to the upper inner thigh. And, you know, depending on what your right knee has to say about it, the foot position can be different. So for a classic Janu Shirshasana, the right heel actually kind of comes up and into the junction between the leg and the pelvis there, right? Most of us tend to just put the foot on the inner thigh and kind of leave it there. If your knee will have it and you want to try a slightly different variation of the pose, see about that, right? Just a different way to go. Now, once you have your legs, make sure that we're going to do a little manual inner spiral on this left leg. So the right hand can go to the inner thigh, the left hand goes underneath you, and then pull the flesh from underneath the hamstrings and all the way up to the buttock. Pull all that out to the left, and then set yourself back down on it. And then square your chest up a little more toward that left leg. Use your hands on the floor to kind of walk your body more directly toward the leg. And then go ahead and come forward. So it's not about, okay, I have to get my head to my leg. You all know that. You just pause, see where it goes. Maybe you take a hold of the foot with the right hand. Breathe into it. Try to keep your chest as square as you can to your left leg as you come forward. Breathing. Pushing that left hand isometrically to the left. All right, and then slowly bring yourself up. Great, let's go ahead and switch sides. Janu Shirshasana over the right leg. So again, the position of the foot, maybe it comes in, maybe it's just right at the inner thigh. Again, a nice manual inner spiral on the right leg will set you up for a little bit more ability to square yourself to this leg without the leg externally rotating on you. So hands to either side of your right knee, sit tall, and as you exhale, pour yourself forward. Pause right where you need to. You could even inhale and back out of the pose a little bit. And then exhale and come in and see if a little further feels appropriate to you, your hamstrings, your back. If you want to take a hold of your right foot with your left hand, feel free to go there. Try to keep your chest nice and square to that leg as you come toward it. Breathing. All right, and then slowly go ahead and bring yourself up. Great. So let's move that blanket out of the way. We're going to come down onto our backs just for a moment or two. Come all the way down. Bend your knees. Set your feet wide. You can have your arms straight out into a T. We're just going to do a couple of windshield wipers here now. So just drop the knees gently over to the right. And just let your body hang out there for a moment. Feels pretty good. And inhaling, knees to center. Exhale, drop the knees to the left. And inhale to center. And again, keeping the feet wide, just let the knees just rest against one another for a moment. And see if you can find such release that there's no effort to hold your legs in this position. So it may be a matter of trying to find the right distance between the feet. You know, you play with that for a moment or two, or it's the angle of the feet. So see what you need to do to have as little effort as possible in your legs and your hips, hip flexors. So just let your breath start to deepen now. Feel free to bring a little bit of movement to your hands and your feet. Noticing the effects of your practice in your physical body, in your mental body, in your emotional body. And then taking your time, bend your knees and slowly come up to your side. Lovely. Once you find your seat, if you'll bring your hands to prayer position. I'm so deeply, deeply grateful to all of my teachers for the opportunity to be here in your company. It's really lovely. So thank you so much for coming to your mat, keeping each other company, bringing your special presence to this community. Even though we're not in the same room, it doesn't mean we're not connected. We are so connected, more than we can possibly even imagine. So thank you. Om Shanti. Namaste.